Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Sasheen, and I'm back. So, there is this video roaming around that's kind of pulling Dr. Joe Dispenza's words about uh, women who live alone. It's fiction. Women who live alone are the happiest people. I don't need all that. Are the happiest people you'll ever meet. And whoop, child, let me tell you something. It is definitely burning up the airwaves. And I want to talk about it briefly because I think it's super important as we move into 2025, especially as older women who have been conditioned to think that a relationship is the be all end all. We're luckily having conversations about how we need more than just a relationship to be happy, but we're also entering a time where traditional values, quote unquote, narratives are starting to resurface again. And I just want to remind you of some really key and important things. Women historically tend to fare better when they are single, when they are not in a relationship with the XYs of the world. And that has not excuse me, that has not changed. That has not gotten better. In fact, it's gotten progressively worse. The XYs do a lot better when they're in relationship, but women tend to do a lot better when they're not in a relationship. And why is that? Because of the idea of the second shift. Women tend to work a first shift, which is we go to a job, we earn a living, and we've been doing that for a very long time. Even for the people who like to say that, oh, well, women stayed home, that was the ability to stay home and raise kids has always been a position of privilege that most women have never actually had. Now, whether they got paid for their labor or not, women have historically always had to work in some form or fashion, especially Black women and women of color. But um, once that shift was done, this thing called the second shift kicks in. And in the second shift, women also had to do all the work, rearing the kids, keeping the house, cooking the meals, doing the laundry, sometimes by hand. Whoo, child. Now, let me tell you the story about the man I used to talk to who was flabbergasted that I had a dishwasher, and I kind of think a dishwasher and a washer and dryer, or at least a laundry service, is basic necessities now. But again, I digress. But this is the thing, like women have historically been placed in the position to do all of the work to do work outside of the home and then all of the work inside of the home as well, especially when kids are involved. And so here comes Joe Dispenza, right? And this is like blowing up TikTok and all other places about how women are just better off. They're happier, they're much more content, they're much more focused, they're much more likely to achieve more success when they're not coupled, when they're not in a relationship. Now, if you're married to this wonderful person, I'm not telling you to get divorced by any means. But if you're not married and you are like, how do I tell people that I'm not interested in that particular path? This message might be for you, especially if you're in your 40s and 50s, you've never been married, or you're divorced and you don't really seem to care about getting married again. Um, and you're kind of realizing that your life feels a lot more peaceful when you're not engaging with the XYs of the world. Don't do it. Dispense is right. Our heart rate, our heart health gets better. Our stress levels go down. Our financial life gets way better. Um, our ability to think is clarified. We can feel more deeply and think more fully. Now, I am not knocking relationships. And I think if you find one that allows you to be the kind of person that you desire to be and supports that, and you can support each other, then those are healthy relationships. But I'm also pushing back hard against this new narrative that keeps cropping up of how great our mothers were because they knew how to keep a relationship together. Our grandmothers were. They couldn't leave. Our grandmothers were stuck. Women didn't get the right to have a bank account until the late 80s. So please, let's not buy into the mythology that things were so much better way back when. Women couldn't do anything way back when. They couldn't have their own bank accounts. They couldn't have their own credit cards. They couldn't own land. They couldn't buy a car. They couldn't rent an apartment without their father or their husband. And so, no matter how bad their life might have been, they were unable to do anything to make it better without completely divesting from society, which had no safety nets in place. So, here we are, years and years later, generations later, past grandmas and great grandmas and great great grandmas, because it keeps right on going. And now we're finding that women are feeling like, I don't know if I want to get married because a lot of the mindset around marriage hasn't really changed. And the idea is being passed down through the ex-wives that marriage should still look a certain way and that women should do it a certain way or else we're not really women. But women are waking up. And people like Joe Dispenza are saying, hey, ladies, did you know you're actually healthier and happier when you're not in a relationship with somebody? And okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. I love men. I think men are fantastic. I think they're wonderful. I'm raising one. I have a great relationship with my father. I've had my ex-husband is fine. He's old, he's somebody else's husband now, and that's perfect. I love men, but nothing about my life and nothing about who I am at this point thinks that I want one living in my home with me. Not in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to wash nobody else's laundry. I don't want to have to be responsible for anybody else except my child, who currently is too young to take care of himself. But otherwise, I love wining and dining and traveling and going to wonderful things. And then I love coming home. I love talking and chatting and having great conversations. And then I like coming home. I love going to gallery openings in the theater. And then I like coming home. I want to hold your hand and I will always remember your birthday. And then I want you to go home. And I think that we have to give ourselves permission, especially Gen X, give ourselves permission to enjoy the company of without needing to have them become our responsibility. Because too many of us got into our first relationships in our 20s with boys masquerading as men who were being passed a certain narrative and that we thought we had to fall into. And so as we reach this point of our life and we're looking around going, okay, how do I want this to look as I'm moving into my next season? I'm going to ask you to say, let me reevaluate what a relationship needs to look like and what I'm not willing to settle for. Because excuse me, your peace, and that non-negotiable piece has to also extend into the people that you allow to love you. Your lovers should bring you peace. They should not bring you strife. There shouldn't be more work to be with them than it is to be alone. And so when Joe Dispenza, let me tell you something. Let me just read one of these comments. Let me just tell you. I am 76, been a widower for decades. Living alone means I have no stress, worries, or need to please anyone. I set my own routine and created a new, healthy lifestyle. I am alone, but I am never lonely. And that is the thing. Women historically, excuse me, historically have been much better at moving through the world on our own and not feeling alone, not feeling lonely. We don't mind being alone. And what happens is that as we become the caretakers of so many other things, we lose ourselves because we don't get enough alone time. We don't get any time actually to be alone. And so when you start thinking about your stress levels as life starts to shake out for the next few years, few months, if the relationship with your lovers are a lover or lovers, if you have more than one, this is a judgment-free zone. If those relationships don't bring you peace, then they shouldn't bring you anything else because they should bring you peace. They shouldn't take peace from you. And so many relationships take peace from us, and we need to stop doing that. So I just wanted to jump on here and talk about that because I've been watching his talk and I've been seeing it blow up and down TikTok and Facebook. And I think especially, younger women especially are really getting the message hammered home. But I know that Gen X women, we labor under the falsity, that false narrative that says you've got to have someone to take care of you. You've got to have, which is really, you got to have someone to take care of. Let's be real. You got to have someone in your life or else who are you really? And I can't tell you how many older generation women that I have met older than me who are like that when grandpa died, they didn't get remarried. Didn't even think about it, didn't even want to. And some will say, oh, it's because they're too old. These women are dating. They're dating, but they have zero interest in being married again because marriage brings with it a set of responsibilities and expectations that a lot of us know are worn out and outdated and we want no part of anymore. So I don't know where you are in your relationship status, but I know that this next year, a lot of folks you're going to be looking to couple up because the the family is so important to some people, and traditional marriages are so important to keep America great and all that kind of jazz. So the coupling effect will continue to go on. But if you're one of those people who are like, I don't want a couple, I don't want to be a couple, I don't mind being a couple, but I'm gonna be my couple over here and he's gonna be his couple over there. And I like this non-traditional thing we got going on. Keep doing your thing because, as Joe Dispenza says, you're going to be happier and healthier if you do. This is Dr. Sasheen. Please click like and subscribe if you like the message. Leave me a comment. Let me know, where are you in your coupledom? Do you find yourself really missing being in a relationship, or are you feeling a little bit like Dispenza, which is, my life is pretty good and I don't know that I want to mess it up with somebody else's socks on my floor. That's it for the moment. Take care, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.